Hey guys, Mrs. Dalton here, and I'm going to go over our final review study guide. For my on-level classes, this is our number 1. For my pre-AP classes, this is number 20. You may have to skip around in your packet. Here we go. Which class do the scores have a range of 12? Remember, range is your maximum minus your minimum, okay? And on our box and whisker plots for each of these classes, our minimum is our first dot here, and our maximum is our last dot out here. So let's look at class 1. Class 1 has a maximum of 20 minus 8 gives us a range of 12. Okay, so a lot of you guys will do a question mark because you're going to be awesome students and you're going to check classes 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so class 2 has a maximum of 20 and a minimum of looks like 7 because that dot is in between 6 and 8, so our range is going to be 13, which is not what we're looking for. Class 3 has a maximum of looks like 19 minus a minimum of 6 gives us 13, also not what we're looking for. And class 4 has a maximum of 20 and a minimum of 7, and that gives us 13 also. So you were correct. Class 1 has our range of 12. Okay, number 2. Chance answered 90% of the 30 questions correctly on his test. How many questions did he answer correctly? Okay, so remember we've got to set up our part over total equals percent over 100. Remember, because percents are always out of 100. Okay, so do we know our part? No, we don't. Do we know our total? Yes, we do. We know that our total is 30 questions because it says 90% of the 30 questions. So of means our total. So we've got a total of 30 questions. And then our percent, we've got at 90% because it has a percent sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to replace what we know with the words in the correct spot. So we don't know our part. We know our total is, we know our total is 30, so we're going to replace the word total with 30. And then our percent is 90 out of 100, and that 100 doesn't change. Okay, so we are going to cross multiply and divide, something that you are going to use in 7th grade a bunch, cross multiply and divide. So what you're going to do is you're going to cross multiply the two values that are diagonal from each other, and then you're going to divide by the third one to get the answer of the missing. So we're going to take 30 times 90, and we're going to get 2,700. And then we're going to take that 2,700 and we're going to do the divide by 100 right here. 100 does not go into 2, 100 does not go into 27, 100 goes into 270 twice. Subtract, bring down that 0. 100 goes into 700 7 times with 0 remainder. So the number of questions he answered correctly is 27 questions. Okay, number 3. Lacey read that 4/5 of a town had been destroyed by flooding. What decimal is equivalent to 4 over 5 or 4/5? Okay, so we've got 4/5 and we need to turn it into a decimal. Well, remember that our decimal place values are tenths, hundredths, thousands, and so on, but we don't need to go that far. So can I turn this 5 into a 10? Absolutely. 5 times 2 is 10. If you multiply the bottom, you multiply by the top. 4 times 2 is 8. So we've got the fraction 8/10. But remember, the question asked for a decimal, so 8/10 as a decimal looks like 0.8. And so our answer is 0.8. Now, if you want to put 0.80, that's fine. If you want to put just 0.8 or 0.80, that all is fine as well because they all are saying the same thing. Okay, number 4. Rhonda has a rectangular shaped garden with the following characteristics. The length of her garden is 10 feet. The area of her garden is 50 square feet. find the width of her garden. Okay, so if it says that she's got a rectangular shaped garden, what should you do? You should probably draw the rectangular shaped garden if you don't see a picture. Okay, so it says the length of her garden is 10 feet. So I'm going to call this guy down here length, and I'm going to label him 10 feet. Okay. Then it says the area of the garden is 50 square feet. Remember, your area is how much space is on the inside of this. So I'm going to put big A for area equals 50 square feet so that I know that I'm looking for this width out here. Now remember, area equals length times width. So that means 10 times something equals 50. And you can figure out that something by dividing 50 by 10. 50 divided by 10 will give you 5. And so our width of the garden is 5 feet. Okay, number 5. The table shows the age distribution of 250 kids attending a summer camp. Okay, what percentage represents the students that are older than 10? Okay, so since we're looking at the kids that are older than 10, we're going to get rid of the 9-year-olds and the 10-year-olds because we're looking for older than 10, which would be our 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 65 11-year-olds plus the 45 12-year-olds, and we're going to get 110. And then we're going to add those 13-year-olds in there. Whoops, I said 110, didn't I? Yep. Okay, so we've got 110, not 100, plus our 35 13-year-olds, and we're going to get 145 kids that are older than 10. Okay, so the question says what percentage? Well, we all know that percents are out of 100, so we know that we have 145 kids that are older than 10 out of a total of 250 kids from the first part of our story. Okay, and we know that percents are always out of 100. So the percent we don't know, out of 100, and now we need to solve. Okay, again, we're going to use our cross multiply and divide. Now this one looks a little different than the one from number 2. We are actually going to multiply 100 times 145. So we've got 100 times 145. That's going to be 0, 0, 5. Drop a 0, 0, 0, 4. Drop 2 zeros, 0, 0, 1. And we're going to get a total of 0, 0, 5, 4, 1. Okay, so we're going to have 14,500. And now we're going to divide by the 250 over here. Okay. Now, will 250 go into 1? Nope. Will 250 go into 14? Nope. Will 250 go into 145? No. Will 250 go into 1,450? Yes. Okay. So I know I've got 250 times 1 is 250. 250 times 2 is 500. 250 times 3 is 750. Kind of looks like quarters and money, doesn't it? 250 times 4 is 1,000. 250 times 5 is 1,250. And 250 times 6 is going to be 1,500, which is going to be too much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 250 is going to give us 1,250. Subtract, subtract 2, bring down a 0. Okay, got to keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus another 250 is 1,750. And then another 250 is going to give me 2,000. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 250 is 2,000. And so that means our percent is 58%. Because we were solving for this guy right here. Okay, so number 5, 58% of the students are older than 10. Number 6, Find the median of the data in the stem and leaf plot above. Okay, median means middle. Okay, so remember how you read a stem and leaf plot. The 1 over here is our tens place, and our 0 is our ones place. Our 3 and 6 are all in our ones place. So we've got a 10, we've got a 13, we've got a 16, we've got a 21, 26, 27, and 28. Okay, so we're looking for the middle. So we're going to cross out from each end until we find our middle. And our middle number is 21. So the median of this data set is 21. Number 7. Read each statement about a person's credit score and record if the statement is true or false in the answer box. Okay, number 1. Making late payments on a credit card raises a person's credit card score. That is actually false. If you make late payments, it actually lowers your credit score. You want to make your payments on time or early. Number 2, a person's credit score could be a factor in getting a job. Believe it or not, this is true, and I'll give you an example. If you are trying to get a job at a bank and you have a low credit score, they are probably not going to hire you because a low credit score could possibly show the company that you don't pay your bills on time, maybe that you have too many loans, things that are going to affect how they feel you're going to treat their money. So number 2 is true. Number 3, a credit score is a major factor in getting a mortgage loan. Okay, so a lot of kids asked me this week, what is a mortgage loan? And that is a special kind of loan that helps pay for your house, buying a home. So yes, this is true. Your credit score has a major factor in getting a mortgage loan, being able to buy a house. Number 4, having a large loan that has not been paid lowers a person's credit score. This is true. If you have borrowed a bunch of money and you have not been paying on it, your credit score is going to drop. So 1 is false, 2, 3, and 4 are all true. Number 8, Olivia is 5 1/4 feet tall. How tall is Olivia in inches? Okay, so we've got 5 feet and we've got 1/4 of a foot. Okay, so we all know that that's a weird looking E. We all know that 12 inches equals 1 foot. So we know that in 5 feet we've got 60 inches. Okay, a lot of you guys found that out, no problem this week. But the 1/4 of a foot is what was giving some of you trouble. Okay, so 1/4 of a foot. Let me just draw you a picture here. Say I've got a foot or a ruler, okay, and you know that that is 12 inches long. But it says 1/4 of a foot. So I'm going to take this ruler or this foot and I'm going to cut it into 4 equal sections. And we've got to figure out how many inches are in each section. Well, I know I've got 12 inches total. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. So each section is worth 3 inches. So if I have 1/4 highlighted, that means I've got 3 inches. So 5 feet equals 60 inches plus 3 inches, which is your 1/4 of a foot, for a total of 63 inches. So Olivia is 63 inches tall. Okay, number 9. Number 9 says find the area of the trapezoid. Okay, so on our mathematics chart, the formula for the area of a trapezoid is A equals half of parentheses base 1 plus base 2 close parentheses times the height. Okay, and I told you guys in class that I like to cut out that 1/2 because it confuses people, and so I say base 1 plus base 2, you got to do that first, times your height, divide by 2. Okay, so we've got our base 1, and you can call either one of these base 1. I'm going to call this guy base 1. I'm going to call this guy base 2, and I'm going to call this guy my height. Okay, so I've got 9 plus 4 in parentheses times my height of 6, and then whatever that answer is, we're going to divide by 2. So I've got 9 plus 4 equals 13. 13 times 6 divided by 2. 13 times 6, I'm going to come over here to the side and work it out. And I'm going to get 78. So I've got 78 divided by 2. Come down here, or come over here maybe and work it out. 78 divided by 2. 2 goes into 7 3 times. Subtract, bring down. 2 goes into 18 9 times with no remainder. So the area of our trapezoid equals 39 square feet. You put the little feet and the 2 for your square feet of our trapezoid. Number 10. Gino scored 17/20 on his quiz, or 17 out of 20. What percent represents his score? Okay, remember that percents are always out of 100. So we've got 17 over 20 equals a percent out of 100. Okay, this one's kind of easy. How does this 20 turn into 100? Times 5. Multiply the bottom, multiply the top, and I'm going to show a little work here. I'm going to do 17 times 5, carry the 3. That's an 85. 85 over 100 means I've got 85%. So Gino made an 85% on his quiz. Okay, number 11. It says that Wilma has a large box and a small box. The small box is 1 foot wide, 2 feet long, and 4 feet tall. Okay, so I'm going to draw a small box. Okay, and I'm going to label the 1 foot wide, 2 feet long, and 4 feet tall. Now remember, volume equals length times width times height. Okay, so we're going to take 1 times 2 equals 2, 2 times 4 equals 8. So our volume is 8 cubic feet for your small box. Okay, now the second part says the large box is 2 feet wider. Now when they're saying wider, longer, and taller, they're talking about wider, longer, and taller than the small box. Okay, so I'm going to draw a large box, and since the large box is 2 feet wider than the small box was 1 foot wide, so 1 plus 2 is 3, so I'm going to label this side 3. It is 2 feet longer, so 2 plus 2 is 4, and 1 foot taller, which is 4 plus 1, is 5. So we're going to take 3 times 4 times 5. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. So the large box has a volume of 50 cubic feet. That should be a 3 up here. And the question says, what is the difference between the volume of the larger box and the volume of the smaller box? Difference means that you are going to subtract. So we're going to subtract 60 minus 8, and we're going to get 52 cubic feet. So the large box is 52 cubic feet larger than the small box. Number 12. Which of the following ways to pay for college do not have to be repaid? Okay, so I talked to a bunch of you this week about these questions. Work study, that is where you get a job on campus while you're going to school, obviously, to help pay your stuff. So that does not have to be repaid. So check. Do not have to repay that guy. Okay, a grant. A grant is kind of like, think about it when a genie grants you a wish. Does he ask you to pay him back? Nope. So a grant is money that is given to you either by the government or by an organization to help you pay for college that you don't need to repay. Scholarships, that is where you have a talent or a skill that a school would like to bring to their campus, and so they offer you money. Please come to our school and share your gift with us. That does not have to be repaid. A loan is when you go to the bank because you don't have enough money to pay for college, and so they give you a loan, which you do have to pay back. So you have to pay this guy back. That's going to be out of there. And then finally, money as a gift is what it says. It's a gift. Somebody gives you money and says, here, spend this money on your college education, and you do not have to repay that. So in number 12, work study, grants, scholarships, and money given as a gift are all things that do not have to be repaid. Number 13, Mitch has completed 35 questions, or 70% of his test before lunch. How many total questions are on the test? Okay, so this brings us back to our part over total equals percent out of 100. Okay, so since the question is asking for our total, we know that we don't have that amount. So our part that he has completed is 35. Our total is what we are trying to figure out, and our percent in this problem is 70. So we're just going to replace these numbers with the proper words. So we've got 35 over total, which we don't know, equals 70% out of 100. Okay, so this one you can cross multiply and divide, but I kind of see that if I take 35 times 2, I'm going to get 70. So that means that something, our total, times 2 is going to give me 100. So you can take 100 and divide by 2, and hopefully you did that really, really quick in your head, and you got 50. Here's the work if you need to back it up. So our total is 50 questions, okay? So we've got 50 total questions. So far he has completed 35 of them. So 35 is 70% of 50. Number 14. Okay, a lot of you asked me questions about this one also, and I think we got it for the most part. Number 14 says, find the balance of the checkbook register on September 9th, 2012. Okay, so the balance column, that is how much money is in your account, and in this case, this is how much we have at the beginning. Now the debit column is money that is being subtracted out of your accounts, money that you are spending, and a credit to your account is money that you are adding to your account or depositing. Okay, so we are starting off with $712.34, and we are debiting, we are paying our rent of $540. Okay, so $712 minus $540, excuse me, is going to give us, let me see, make sure we borrow correctly. 11 minus 4 is 7. 6 minus 1 is, or 6 minus 5 is 1. Okay, so then I'm going to spend, or I've got an ATM withdrawal of 80, so I'm going to subtract 80 from my balance. So I've got 34 cents. 2, got to borrow, that's a 0.78, that's $92.34. Then I'm going to deposit $120, so I'm going to add $120 to my account. That is going to give me $212.34. Then I'm going to go shopping, and I'm going to spend $154.17. Okay, be very careful with your borrowing here. 14 minus 7 is 7. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 cannot take away 4, so we're going to borrow, make that 12, make that a 0. Got to make that a 10 eventually, and that turns into a 1. Okay, so 12 minus 4 is 8, and 10 minus 5 is 5. So I've got I've got $58.17. I am getting paid, so I'm going to add $525.36. Thank goodness. 13, carry 345, decimal. 8 plus 5 is 13, carry 5, 6, 7, 8, 583.53. And then finally, I need to put gas in my car, and I'm out of room, so I'm going to slide over here. 583.53 minus 61.18. Again, be careful with your borrowing. 13, that turns into a 4. 3 minus 8 is 5. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. 8 minus 6 is 2, and 5. So my ending balance, or what I'm left with after all this spending and depositing, is $522.35. Number 15. Vincent puts out a container that contains 3.5 gallons of sweet tea for his restaurant. Which proportion can be used to find C, the number of cups in Vincent's drink? Okay, so this is a classic case of WKU. Words, what do you know? What is unknown? So our words are going to be gallons and cups. Okay. For every 1 gallon, here's what we know. For every 1 gallon, we've got 16 cups. And the unknown is, well then, if I have 3.5 gallons, because remember, the reason we do WKU is so you can match your numbers to your words. So if they're telling you you've got 3.5 gallons, that 3.5 needs to go with your gallons. And so our cups is what we don't know, so we're going to put a C. Okay, so in this problem, we're actually not solving for C. We are just trying to figure out which one of these proportions or equivalent ratios matches our WKU. So I'm looking for the 1 and the 3.5 to be together because they're both gallons. So 1 is across from 3.5. This one looks okay. 1 is across from C here. That is not going to be okay. 1 is across from 3.5 here. That's going to be okay, but we'll come back and check the second part. 1 is across from 3.5 over here, and that's okay too. Now, if you'll notice, on the ones that I said that's okay, our 1 and our 3.5 are both on the bottom. Okay, that's all right. Let's switch it. Let's say I wanted to put cups on top and gallons in the denominator. Same thing. Keep your numbers to match your words. 16 cups in 1 gallon, unknown amount of cups in 3.5 gallons. Okay, so as long as you've got your words in the proper place and your numbers match them properly, you're going to be good to go. Okay, so I'm looking for 16 over 1 equals C over 3.5, and the only one that matches that in this case is letter A, because there are not 8 cups in a gallon. There are actually 8 pints. We're not talking about pints. And this one says 4 cups in a gallon, which is incorrect because it's 4 quarts in a gallon. So our answer is A on this one. Number 16, a trail mix snack company advertises 3 out of 15 pieces is a raisin. A bag of trail mix has 200 total pieces. At this rate, how many raisins should be in the bag? Okay, so they advertise that for that you should get 3 raisins out of 15 pieces. So this is going to be another WKU. So we've got 3 raisins for every 15 total. Well, what if we have 200 total? How many raisins would there be? Okay, so back to the cross, multiply, and divide. We are going to cross multiply 200 times 3, and you should get 600. And then you're going to divide by the 15 to give you the answer for R. So 600 divided by 15. Will 15 go into 6? No. Will 15 go into 60? Yes, 4 times. Because I've got 15 times 1 is 15, times 2 is 30, times 3 is 45, times 4 is 60. So 15 times 4 is 60. Subtract, bring down that 0. 15 goes into 0 0 times. And now you have no remainder and nothing else to bring down. So there should be 40 raisins out of every 200. Okay, number 17 for my on-level classes, pre-AP, this is your number 1. So flip back to the front. And it says a triangle has 2 angles that measure 64 degrees. And I really wish they would have said 64 degrees each, but they didn't. That's okay. And it says, what is the measure of the triangle's 3rd angle? Okay, so you're going to take the 64 for the first angle plus another 64 is going to give you 128 degrees. Now remember that the angle measurements of a triangle must add up to 180. So you're going to take 180 minus 128. Make sure you borrow correctly. And you should get 52 degrees. So your third angle measures 52 degrees. Number 18 for my on-level classes, and for pre-AP, this is your number 21. And it says Lindsay has 80% of the state capitals to memorize for a geography B. What fraction of the capitals has she learned in lowest terms? Okay, so we've got, again, we've got part out of total equals percent over 100. Okay, Lindsay has 80% of the state capitals to memorize. Okay, so that is actually going to be our part. And how do I know that? Because how many states do we have? We have 50. So we have 50 state capitals. And then it tells you that your percent is 80. Okay, so we've got question mark over 50 equals 80% out of 100. Okay, so we are going to cross multiply again. So 50 times 80 going to give us a 0, drop a 0, 0 and 40, add. So we're going to get 4,000, and then we're going to divide. Remember, cross multiply these two, divide by the 100. 100 will not go into 4, it will not go into 40, it will go into 400 4 times, but we still got to subtract and bring down. 100 goes into 0, 0 times, and now we're done. So we have, or Lindsay has, 40 out of 50 memorized. The question asks for a fraction in lowest terms. Okay, so I've got 40 divided by 50, or 40 over 50. I want to simplify. Let's divide by 10 because they both end in 0. So our answer should be 4/5. And that is your fraction in lowest terms because you can't simplify that one anymore. Okay, number 19 says, what is the mode of the data set? Okay, remember, mode means the number or numbers that occur most frequently, or the most. And on this one, I'm actually going to use my answer choices to help me along, okay? So it says A, 2 only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many 2's I've got. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2's. Okay, let me erase these guys. Okay, letter B says 1, 2, and 3 only. Well, I've already counted my 2's. Let's count our 1's. I've got 1, 2. Well, I've only got 2 of those. Okay, let's go ahead and check 3's. Let me erase this guy. 1, 2, 3. Looks like I've only got 3 3's. So this guy is definitely out, because if I did have a mode of 1, 2, and 3, that means all of those would have to occur the same number of times. Well, so far it looks like 2 is occurring the most. Okay, letter C, 5 only. So let's count our 5's. 1, 2. Okay, definitely not it. And D is definitely not it either, because it says 2 and 3 only. 2 and 3 are not the same. 8 times does our number 2 occur. So our mode, or our number that occurs most frequently, is 2, answer choice A. Okay, for my on-level classes, this is our number 20. For my pre-AP, this is our number 23. And on this one, it says Ginger records her grades for each assignment in science. Okay, and these are all her scores. And it says, which graphical display correctly represents Ginger's science grades? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her grades right here, and I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest just so I can organize my information. Okay, so her lowest score is a 57. I'm going to cross it out. And then she's got a 65. Next is a 70. Then we've got a 78 and another 78, so we're going to write both of them down, 78, 78. Then we've got 84. Then we've got 86, 88, 89. Let's move this guy out of the way. 92. I'm a little bit out of room. Did I write down both 89s? No, I didn't. Excuse me. I actually have two 89s. So 89, 89, 92. Missed that guy. 95, 98, and 100. Okay, so now let's look at our three choices here. The first one is a stem and leaf plot. So we've got a 5 in the stem and a 7 in the leaf, 57. Check. We've got a 65. Check. We've got a 70 and two 78s. Check. 84, 86, 88, 89, 89. Check, check, check. 92, 95, 98. Check. Now 100 and 100. Well, this one is wrong because we only have one 100 because this one actually represents 10. So A is out. Okay, letter B. 57, the dot is there. 65, there is supposed to be a dot here and there is not, so we're going to count that guy out. And I'm going to check the other one. 70 is there. 75 should not be there. So two reasons that B is out of the question. Okay, so we're left with C, and this is a histogram, remember, because it shows intervals. And it says that for 51 through 60, there is 1, and that is correct. We've got 1 that is between 51 and 60. Okay, our next group, 61 to 70, it says that there is 2, because you got to look at your side over here, your y-axis. And we've got these two, that is correct. And then 71 through 80 is another 2, correct. 81 to 90 is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, there they are. They fall within that interval. There's 5 of them. And then between 91 and 100, it says there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And C is our best graphical display of Ginger's science grades. Alright, my pre-AP classes, the last 3 questions are number 17, 18, and 19 on your study guide. Number 17 says find the area of the figure. Okay, and so our first shape, you can break this down into 2 different shapes. Our first shape is our rectangle here. Okay, and so your area is going to be base times height, which is going to be 8 times 4. So our area is going to be 32 square feet of this rectangle. Okay, so this guy is 32 square feet. Okay, our second shape is a trapezoid. I did see you guys trying to break this up into a rectangle and 2 triangles. You probably would have gotten the right answer, but this is actually a trapezoid, so let's just use that formula. Remember, our area equals 1/2 of your base 1 plus your base 2 times your height, or base 1 plus base 2 times your height divided by 2. So my base 1 is 14 plus my base 2 is 8 because it shares that side with the rectangle, times the height of 4, because remember it's got to make a 90-degree angle with your from the top of your shape to the bottom, so times 4, and then divide by 2. 14 plus 8 is 22 times 4 divided by 2 gives us 88 divided by 2 equals 44 square feet. Okay, so we've got your trapezoid has an area of 44, your rectangle has an area of 32, so 32 plus 44 is going to give you 76 square feet. Final answer. Okay, number 18, pre-AP. It says find the volume of the triangular prism, and the formula that you'll be seeing next year is V equals big B times H. Remember, big B means area of your base, and in this case our base is the triangle. I want to highlight your area of the base. So we actually need to find the area of this triangle first. And remember that the formula for finding the area of a triangle equals base times height, or half of your base times height. Okay, so this is actually your big B, and then times the height of your prism in this case. So let's find the area of the base first. So we've got 1/2 of 1/2 times our base of the triangle, which is 8, times the height of our triangle, which is 10. So 8 times 10 is 80, and half of that is 40. I'm just bringing everything down. Okay, all of this is times the height of our prism. And now I'm going to replace that height with the 20 of the prism. So 20 times 40 equals 800. Okay, so the volume of this triangular prism is 800 cubic centimeters. Okay guys, pre-AP, last one, number 19. It says Lewis's favorite drink lowered the amount of sugar in the container from 25 grams to 20 grams. By what percentage did Lewis's drink decrease the amount of sugar in the container? Okay, so we've got part over total, again, equals percent out of 100. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. Our part is actually how much sugar was dropped. So it went from 25 to 20. So we have dropped 5 grams of sugar out of the original 25 that was in the first container. And we're going to get a percent out of 100, okay? So because that means we have dropped 5 grams of sugar from our original total. So 25 times 4 is 100. If you multiply the bottom, you multiply the top. 5 times 4 is 20. So the drink decreased the amount of sugar by 20%. And that's it. Good luck. See you guys next week. Hope you have a great weekend.